Road to Redline is the #1 Porsche and car podcast, celebrating the people and the stories behind the world's finest sports cars. Road to Redline is presented by Porsche journalist Lee Sibley, consumer guru Joe Williams, and engineer Andy Brooks. 3 enthusiasts on a mission to open doors and bring you the best stories, secrets, and exclusives from the world of Porsche.
Ready?
Weddy.
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 Weddy and waiting.
Weddy.
Good evening. Weddy. Good evening. How are we?
Evening.
All good. Good evening to you both.
You're looking tanned, Joe.
Well, I've been working on it a little bit.
And slick back hair as well.
Well, just been in the swimming pool a lot, Andy, that's all.
Boasting. So, yeah, Joe's got away. Good man. Yeah. Well done. I'm hoping to get away this weekend. Croatia. Is that how they say it out there? Croatia.
Apparently.
I'm going to Mallorca on Sunday, hopefully. Mallorca. Yeah. The water in Mallorca.
What's that for? Some dodgy jewellery? Or...
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're going on holiday and
new handbag.
Nice bit of a Marnie.
I can't go on holiday, I'm afraid.
No,
all the money's gone on my car. So,
what's happened? You've bought something.
Yeah, I've bought a Porsche.
A Porsche,
as they say down the boozer. He's bought a Porsche. Yeah, so I have got another kind of stable. It is a P car still, but it's not a 911.
Yeah, so you were saying I bought something new. Can somebody help me go and pick it up?
Yeah.
And we were all trying to guess what it was.
Yeah, I think Phil did. I think you did get it, actually.
I did, yeah. Before Phil. Yeah,
before Phil. Yeah, get that in there in case he's listening. Yeah,
you've got a Porsche Blancmange, haven't you?
Porsche Blancmange.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever that is. 09 Cayenne.
Yeah.
To fulfill the 4x4 dream. So I'm an SUV wanker now.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be a wanker?
Were you planning this for a while, or was it a kind of knee-jerk reaction? Oh, let's go and buy something, or has it been on the cards for a while? Yeah,
probably about 6 weeks, Joe, I reckon, mate. We're just
not too long.
To be honest with you, when so we went away for Mrs. S's birthday in middle of June, took my 911 and even just wandering up to like the Cotswolds in that for 2 hours, just realised it was like highly impractical.
Yeah.
And then obviously like consideration of the dog and what we need from our lifestyle, because Laura's only steer is a caddy work van with dog cages in the back.
Yeah.
So we just thought, well, let's get a workhorse, to be honest. Plump for that. Was looking around at like excellent value for money. Spoke to Scott, who we'll chat to in a minute, about further kind of technical details on those cars. Spoke to Richie Payne as well, who was on the podcast before, who has really good experience or exposure to those cars.
Pulling jet planes.
That's it. Yeah, and, as we'll go on to explore, it just answers a few questions that my 911 doesn't.
Yeah,
currently.
Is there anything else on the list? Did you have anything else on a short list, or was it Cayenne only?
I looked at new stuff, Joe, to be honest. Yeah, but I just thought, well, look, for the monthlies, considering like the car is only going to go one way in value, I just didn't think it was good economical sense. And again, for what Laura and I need from our lifestyle, we just want to get a workhorse. We can chuck the dog in the back, the shopping in the back, drive, cross country, etc. For the money you paid for it, it's not really going to go anywhere. It's not really going to go too far south of where they are now. So just like from an initial purchase point of view, fairly friendly. Obviously, there's a running cost, which we'll get into with Scott. Just try to be as friendly on the wallet as possible, really.
Excellent. We've got a couple of listeners coming on to discuss. I went round our list of Patreons and said, has anyone got a Cayenne? Because we want to scare the shit out of Lee.
You'll laugh as well.
We've got a couple of Patreons.
They were quite kind to him.
We've got Derek Black coming on and Ian Rayner as well joining us. We did have James Clark joining us, but his wife has burnt her hand, and he's had to take her to A&E.
Oh, sure.
So sorry we couldn't have you on, James.
Best
James
wishes
Clark.
to your wife, James.
Yeah, I hope she's how inconsiderate to do that when you were going to come on the podcast. So yeah, we've got those two guys coming on in a minute.
Awesome.
To talk through and scare the shit out of you.
Stop laughing at us, will ya?
So yeah, what do you think to the purchase then, Joe?
Brave. I think it's definitely brave. I think an early Cayenne is definitely a brave pill to swallow. I think, I wish you well with it, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite you in the arse, Lee.
Oh, nasty, nasty.
Joe's got some previous experience, I think, with Cayennes that wasn't particularly positive by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
so.
I think we'll be hearing about
only
that
one
later.
experience. Yeah, I had one experience, and it wasn't pretty. So anyway, we will see.
One's enough. One's enough.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Cool. Anything else been going on this week other than buying new cars?
Drove the 992 GT3 Touring.
Oh, nice! Did you?
Car. What a car, Andy Brooks!
Bugger.
I mean, yeah. Like when Porsche brings out a car like the 991 GT3, that car started the legend, and you think, this car is amazing. Where can the company possibly go from there? That car, in terms of 992, is absolutely phenomenal.
Manual PDK did
so
you drive?
I actually drove the PDK. Who's
Controversial.
the Henry Catchpole was driving the manual at the time.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, you can't just willy-nilly swap cars these days, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Reserve judgment on that. But I came away, and this is kind of the grand revelation, I think. I came away from that thinking, if I was speccing a 992 Touring, I would absolutely spec PDK.
Mm-hmm. Is it because of the big knob in the centre console?
Love a big knob. Love a big knob. I mean, it looks like a manual shifter anyway.
Does, doesn't
so
it?
you can fool your friends and all of the purists at the Cars and Coffee that would, otherwise spit at you for considering dual clutch semi-automatic. But no, I just think, again, that just feeds into what that car is about. It's a tourer. And, if you're going to drive around Europe, you've got to get there, first of all, from this country. And I just think it's such a good ally.
Yeah.
I at first was unconvinced by the prospect of a PDK Touring, but came away thinking, no, fantastic. So
what the big controversy with that has been the front suspension and the suspension spring rates. Everybody's saying that it's hard. What was your initial thoughts on that?
It is, but it's a 911. It's not unduly hard.
Okay,
put it that way. Yeah. You're not riding on carpet, but I actually thought that front axle was phenomenal.
Cool.
And again, like the it's not damping rates, but the turning on that car in terms of how direct it was. I had to recalibrate how I drove that car.
Yeah.
I was turning in too early with the 992 to begin with because it's that crisp, it's that sharp.
Yeah.
The 991. It's funny when you jump into an old thing straight away. It starts feeling, quite lethargic or old or whatever, and it's amazing that a 991 GT3 Touring could be considered that. But no, I don't really get that, and we drove it on some fairly rough roads.
Yeah, okay. So that's good to dismiss that, because there's been a lot of chatter about that and sort of a negative towards the car, which... Well,
it's got GT, it's a GT car, it's a GT badge car. I think if you're thinking that, look at a Carrera T.
Yeah.
So, do you know what I mean? I certainly didn't find that.
What have you been driving, Joe? Any real shit rental cars?
Me? No, I've been driving a boat.
He's been driving his wife around the bend, I'm sure.
Not been. Actually, no, I've driven something actually today. I went on a Segway. Does that count?
So tourist, such a tourist. Brilliant.
What about you, Andy? Anything been going on last week or so?
I'm looking around for a new daily at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Care to disclose, or do you want to hold?
Well, it's going to be the i3, I think.
Okay.
So just checking out a few of those because the A2's dying.
Yeah.
It needs lots of work on it, and it's like you get to that point where is it worth it? So I'm at that point. So
interesting. It'd be great when you get the car to really dive into that and why and whatnot. Because again, we talk about what I've done answering a question. Yours is answering a different question. So it'd be awesome.
Yeah, so that might be incoming soon.
Amazing. All right. Well, look, shall we get the guys on to talk consumer feedback on the Cayenne and get Scott on as well to give a technical viewpoint on
let's do it.
Porsche's 4x4?
Yeah.
Let's get those guys on. Cool. We've got a couple of extra people with us tonight, a couple of Cayenne owners, because, Lee, you've gone and bought a Cayenne, haven't you?
Gone and bought a Cayenne, yeah. Absolutely happy days.
Oh, how do you pronounce it?
Oh, I don't know. How do you pronounce it?
I just pronounce it Cayenne. I don't know.
I think I'm Cayenne, but I mean, we've got Derek and Ian here. I mean, fellow Cayenne owners. How do you split the apple? How do you pronounce it?
I'd be Cayenne.
Cayenne.
And I go for Cayenne.
Oh, there we go. So it's just like it's the same as the Taycan. I think this is why
everyone
Porsche
calls it different.
Numerical names, because at least we'll all be able to get our tongue around how to pronounce the bloody thing. But happy days. Just
so where did that come from?
Well, just chatting to the guys off air. For me, I actually wrote in my editorial for T911 last issue that we all know the 911 as like the do-it-all sports car.
Yeah,
but actually, it's not the do-it-all sports car, because it can't do everything, and this is kind of exemplified by the fact, we all know people that own more than one 911.
Yeah, true.
And it's for different jobs and whatnot. And for me, the 996 just was erring on the side of unpractical
discomfort
these days. Yeah, and that's just it. Mrs. S isn't the greatest fan of how kind of firm the ride is. The dog can't get in the back anymore, and I've got family living 3 hours away, so going to see them is a bit difficult, etc. It really is only fun for going out on a hoon with you boys in the morning. So the Cayenne answers that sort of question, because it's everything that the 911 isn't.
Yeah.
And as I'm finding out, as I'm sure Ian and Derek are going to go on to say, it's just, I think for particularly an early one, so I bought a 957.
Right, okay.
Which is the Gen 1 facelift. I think some people call it a Mark 2, but I think it's the Gen 1 facelift. It's the diesel engine, 3 litre TDI.
Yeah.
I think it's Porsche's first diesel engine. The boys might correct me on that if I'm wrong. And it's just so much car for the money now.
Yeah.
$9,000 for it on the nose, and nothing's gone wrong so far.
It's been 2 days.
Exactly. Yeah. So, this is it. But I mean, before we dive into like the Cayenne owner experience with Derek and Ian, I'd like to know, Joe and Andy, like what you think of the 4x4 and the Cayenne, and also the Macan. I think, Joe, you had quite a famous story about having one for about 48 hours.
Well, let's start with the Cayenne. I mean, so I think if I nod off tonight, you guys can have to, wake me up a bit, because it's it's a little bit on the dry side, I think.
Ooh.
But I'm open to being turned, so open to everything. Me and Andy are in the minority tonight, so we can't be too Cayenne bashing, obviously. Cayenne. I have owned a Cayenne actually, long time ago, an early one. It was 2003, 2004. Went and bought it up London way somewhere. The guy was a little bit of a dodgy geezer, really. Bought this thing. I drove it about 10 minutes up the motorway home, and the gearbox blew up, and it went home on a low loader, and the guy disappeared into nowhere, and it cost me about $5,000 to fix it. So
brilliant.
My Cayenne othership was short-lived and painful.
Bitter.
So bitter. I think my other half wasn't a big fan of it either, particularly, and so it got sold pretty quickly, and that was the end of the Cayenne story. I did try and buy her a Macan, which is I probably told the story before, but I came up with this great idea to buy her a brand new Macan and all this sort of stuff when they were supposedly rare, and there was a slot that came available and blah blah blah, and ordered this thing, the spec I thought that she would like, and she's basically had it for about 48 hours before I extracted the information that she actually didn't like it at all. And I think the nail in the coffin was one of her friends said, well, where's your Range Rover and why are you driving that Nissan Juke? Which was that kind of did it for her.
I'd say
shows
bitch.
How much they know then, to be fair.
What a cow.
There you go.
Jesus.
I know. Tough, isn't it? So so anyway, luckily they were still quite sought after. So the OPC actually took it back and gave me all my money back, because they had a waiting list as long as their arm for McCann. So that was good. There was about a 3 or 4 month, maybe longer, delay on ordering another Range Rover. So she had the pleasure of a 100,000 plus mile VW Tiguan that was hanging for about 4 or 5 months, which was the punishment for turning your nose up at a brand new Macan. So
take that. Brilliant.
It was quite funny. But anyway, I think the Cayenne, it's a good thing, I suppose. I'm just of that. It's a bit like the Audi R8 for me. It's like, it's sort of Audi make sort of nice rep cars. They don't really make sports cars, and I just sort of feel like Porsche makes sports cars, not 4x4s. But I'm probably probably saying that's the wrong audience.
Can we mute Joe at this point? Or?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, he's rambling on, isn't he?
See,
I'm done.
Just because he's abroad, like if you were sitting in the same room,
Yeah,
I wouldn't be that brave, would I? No, definitely not. If we were all sat around the table, I'd be quite quiet, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've been
Come on,
voicing
then.
my.
So what, Lee's been in a Cayenne for 5 minutes, and are you a complete overnight convert, or are you sort of, was it instant appreciation?
Just like I say, I think like it does the job. I mean, we'll probably go into it in a bit, but I think like I think it's a phenomenal amount of car for the money, and like I say, does everything a 911 wouldn't it? The reality is, if the 911 could do absolutely everything I need it to do in my lifestyle, which is as family orientated as all the fun stuff, road trips, track days, etc., then great, there'd be kind of no need for it. But for me, I just think, as I say, it's a load of car for the money. It's 12 years old, absolutely everything works. The build quality on it is absolutely phenomenal. And again, I suppose maybe because I'm coming from a 996, I'm not used to good build quality in Porsches, so to speak. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And
He said it, I didn't.
Yeah. But it's good. Like I say, it's good. What do you think, Andy? Like?
Well, I've been sort of, what's the word? Wanting one or thinking that they look great for a while now, the early Cayennes.
Yeah.
And I just think you should lift it and put some 33-inch tyres on it.
I tell you what, actually, he has been sending me loads of all sorts, like Baja spec, Cayennes and everything.
Lots of lights on the top, racks, tents, you name it. Yeah.
Can barely fit my ego inside, let alone loads of spare wheels and whatnot. So, So
but
anyway.
I'm going to be really interested to hear what these guys that are long-term owners of Cayennes, or have had a few, I think.
Yeah.
Because the thing that has always scared me is what's the running cost going to be like.
Yeah.
Because obviously you've got, 550 quid's worth of tax a year. Ouch. I'm used to 30 on my little Audi A2. And getting through tyres and wear bits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's where it's sort of, me being a tight ass, I'm like...
Brakes. Looking through the service history of this one, lots and lots of brakes. What do you reckon, boys? So Ian and Derek, which one of you guys would care to go first? Maybe Ian, just purely because you're sitting on the left here on the screen. What Cayenne do you own, first of all? How long have you had it? And what's your kind of overall opinion of Porsche's Premier 4x4? There we go, Joe.
Thank you. The one I've got at the moment is quite a new one. It's a 2019 S, the petrol, the V6 twin turbo petrol. The first one I had was the original Cayenne turbo, so I think it was 2005. I bought it second hand.
5 miles per gallon?
No, more than that, 15 maybe. and I do drive like Miss Daisy, so in terms of tyres and brakes, I went through quite a few, to be fair, but I could have gone through a lot more, I think. And then I had a Cayenne coupe turbo for about 18 months. I've swapped that for a Taycan now, which is a lot more fuel efficient than that. But but yes, I've had 3 in total. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and so that must be answering like a certain question for you. Like I was saying, similar for me, it's more of a like a practical kind of point of view. I mean, are there any other Porsches in the stable, or is it those cars that got you into the brand, or where do you sit?
No, I'm a Porsche fanboy, so I've had a few Porsches. So,
amazing.
So there were 1 or 2 others, but as you say, if you've got kids or a dog or when it snows, and the weather's all right at the moment, isn't it? But the weather's usually pretty rubbish in the UK, isn't it? It's just the perfect car, isn't it? I mean, you can have a Range Rover, I suppose, or a Mercedes ML or something. But if you like the Porsche brand, I think it's better than anything else, to be fair.
Have you had any of those others, like a Range Rover or an ML?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah. So, what do you think in comparison to those? Because obviously Joe's a big lover of a Rangy. Well, his wife is.
Well, my other half is.
Yeah. But you like wafting around in it as well, don't you?
Yeah, the original Chelsea tractor.
Yeah.
We've seen you about.
He's got it in drug dealer spec white with a white interior. So it looks very, very druggy. I
just wonder if there's, is it okay? I mean, controversial maybe, but is it just a little bit of an unimaginative option? Yeah, you're into Porsches, so okay, I need something else because my 911's not doing it. I'll just go buy a Cayenne. I don't know. Is there a bit of that? Do people just end up buying them because they just like the brand, and it happens to be a 4x4 that ticks 4x4 boxes, or is it any better than that?
I'm going to sharpen the knives here, Joe, and I'm going to say that is exactly what I think when I see a Range Rover. I do, honestly. That's exactly what I think. You're keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, I don't know about Porsche, but yeah. So I feel like the Range E is the choice, and that is a bit like the R8 thing, where it's my first supercar. It's like my the textbook box ticker 4x4, and I feel like Cayenne's maybe the alternative choice. Come on, Joe, what are you saying?
Let's get back to Ian and telling us what he thinks over a Range Rover and an ML, what the Cayenne offers.
We'll have an independent review from someone else.
Rather than getting the boxing gloves out.
I mean, the ML's just a bit boring, isn't it, really? I don't want to... Hopefully there aren't many Mercedes fans here, but it is just boring. And actually, we swapped the ML for the Cayenne S, and my wife's miles happier with it, to be fair. And kind of Range Rovers are nice, but they're a different sort of car, aren't they? They are pretty wafty. I've never kind of driven the kind of what's the sporty one called, SVX or whatever it's called, SVR, isn't it? But, but the kind of normal ones, they're just a different type of experience. If you just want to cruise around, they're kind of cool. But it's very different from a Cayenne. A Cayenne is much sharper, handles much better, just more exciting, I think. But you're right. It's a kind of 911 plus purchase, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that most people that buy them are either want a 911 or have a 911 alongside it.
Be interesting. It's a great point, Ian. And just before we come on to Derek. I had your very car, I think, or that specific model last year on loan from Porsche Bournemouth while they were fitting my PCCM Plus, and I was kind of just blown away again by how the car drives, because it felt sporty, but not to kind of the detriment of comfort. And I think that's just where like modern suspension technology comes in. But I think, and again, as evidence, you'll know currently, Ian, with the Taycan, I think whether you are in a 911, a Cayman, a Boxster, Taycan, Cayenne, Macan, they all feel from behind the wheel like a Porsche, if that makes sense. Just the steering and all sorts. Whereas I think that's possibly, and Richie Payne, who we had on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I rang him and I was speaking about it, and we were talking about like the VW equivalents and bits and pieces like that. And again, we just kind of felt that with the Porsche, there's just that little bit more kind of excitement in the steering, in the chassis, over kind of the other cars, if you like.
Definitely. I mean, you're right, that old DNA point, but it's absolutely true, isn't it? If you get behind the wheel of a 911 or a Cayenne, they definitely feel very similar, or the Taycan, as you say. Yeah. And they're just better engineered, I think, controversially maybe, but they're just better engineered. They feel better screwed together. The driving position's just better, isn't it? So yeah, I know I'm a fanboy, but I totally agree with you, Lee. Awesome, yeah. Derek,
I think you sort of answer your own problem, your own argument there. Like it's a 4x4, which a fast 4x4 kind of it defeats the object, and that's why the 911 exists.
Well, no, because the 911, yes, it's four-wheel drive, but it's not proper four-wheel drive, is it? In the sense of ground clearance, it's nice and smooth, it's automatic. In terms of like for my 911, which is bumpy, rear-wheel drive, manual gearbox, most things work but not all of them. It's like that for me. And again, this is where it's the beauty of it, everybody's different. So for me and what I was looking for, that really did, as I say, just answered all the questions that the 996 couldn't. But yeah, you're right. If there's something that you want that's a lot more kind of focused and is a genuine sports car, then obviously the Cayenne gets left at home. But Derek, what's your thoughts then? Like, what one have you got, and what's your kind of give us some proper consumer feedback.
Well, I feel slightly underdressed compared to Ian, given that I've just got a bog standard Cayenne diesel, not an S or anything like that. But it's a fantastic car. I mean, I'm with you there, Lee, when you talk about the brand, the build quality, the engineering. I was tempted by Cayenne when it came out initially. Hope you don't mind me saying that. I just find them from a kind of aesthetic perspective a little bit bulbous, a little bit ugly, and I think that was the initial reviews that came out for that car. when the 958 came out, which was the next gen, it did resemble a 911, and I was very tempted. I'd already had an SUV in the form of a Jeep Cherokee, and that was because it was a lifestyle choice. It was, to chauffeur the family around and the dog and everything else that goes with our busy lives. So I needed a bigger car. I needed a big car all the time. I progressed to a Touareg, a VW Touareg. Hope you don't mind my saying this on this podcast. But it was a fantastic car, and not too dissimilar from the Cayenne.
So for me, it was in some ways. Yeah.
They are. I mean, they are the same chassis. Even the running gear and some of the parts that you buy are for VW Cayenne, VW Touaregs, Q8s and Q7s, I think, and Cayennes. So it was a national progression for me to go and seek a Cayenne when I needed to replace my Touareg. And this one ticked all the boxes. It's a 2019 white platinum edition. It's diesel. It's fully loaded. Has everything that I certainly would require of a car. And it does everything that I ask of it. Load the car up, go to south of France or wherever you're going with the family and the dog. It just poodles along without doesn't go out of breath at all, doesn't miss a beat. So it's a fantastic car. And yes, it is about the brand. I appreciate what Joe was saying. Is this just an excuse to buy another Porsche? Yes, it is.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
It does everything. It's a workhorse at the end of the day. It's a family car. It looks nice. I feel I can go, to the theatre in it, as people say, for that old cliche. It's a do anything car for me, and I promote it all the way. And some of my friends have had 4x4s and SUVs, and they're slowly coming around to thinking of, maybe they haven't got any other Porsches, but they certainly have looked carefully at the Cayenne as an alternative family car.
So you've got the 3-litre diesel as the same as Lee's got. I guess that's probably just obviously a newer version.
A newer engine, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's a 3-litre.
I'm interested in running costs of that. So I guess you've had that for a year or so. I don't know.
Second year of ownership. Apart from a set of tyres, which were painfully expensive.
Yeah.
Because it's running on 22-inch rims, which are on 40 profile, which is very
good off-road spec. That.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait for the snow.
Yeah.
And I wince every time my wife gets behind the wheel. But yeah, the tyres were quite expensive, and I decided to go with the Porsche spec tyres, of course, as some of you have talked about this previously. I wasn't tempted to go and explore other tyres, but it was painfully expensive. But apart from that, it hasn't missed a beat. It's been a thoroughly reliable workhorse.
I think.
Sorry. Do you wince when you go to the petrol station? Or the diesel station?
Well, I do, because this one comes with a 100-litre fuel tank.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Although it's really nice to drive around for weeks on end.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to empty, it's a long fill.
Almost as long as Ian to charge his Thai car, and he went for the race there before.
What's the biggest bill been?
Sorry?
What's the biggest bill been when you've done a refill?
I recently, by mistake, filled up with diesel plus, whatever that version is, and it was £159. And it was a typical kind of emergency stop on the motorway where fuel prices already inflated.
Yeah.
So it was like, really?
Just to hone in on the diesel element there, Derek, I think it'd be interesting to know if you, if you've owned it for a year, you probably wouldn't have bought that from a main dealer, I imagine.
I did. I bought it from OPC in Chester.
Wow. Okay, fair. Because after Dieselgate, it was Porsche Porsche obviously pretty much overnight abandoned like production of diesel engine cars. Even if you go on Porsche Newsroom now, they're like article front and centre is like diesel engine FAQ, and where they just kind of talk through their explanation of it a little bit. And I mean, we spoke to Carl Mayer from 2911 Porsche buyer that's been on the pod before, and he basically said that, again, almost overnight, the dealerships were ordered to get these cars off the forecourt. So I imagine there were some good deals to be had, but I mean, that's great that they'll evidently take them in again on like approved used from your point of view, you know?
Yeah, the guy who chopped it in, he only had it for a year, bought a 911 Targa, believe it or not. So it was a completely different car, and it literally came through the door. I saw it online, and I was so keen on it because it's very similar to my 911 in terms of wheels and colour.
Have you gone all matchy?
Well, no, the 911 is grey, but the wheels are very similar to what the Cayenne are. So that's what attracted me to the car. Not to mention the spec. So I was extremely keen on the car. Packed the wife and the kids up to Chester for a 7-hour round trip to see this car. I fell in love with it, of course, and before I knew it, it was on my drive within the week. Great result. But yeah, I mean, they had a number of cars on the forecourt which they tried to tempt me with, and I was just sort of sold on what I saw initially.
Yeah. Was that other cars as in like with petrol engines, or they were like more diesels? Or?
So there was a mixture. There was a GTS which I was quite keen on. I didn't like the colour. It came in this kind of like a cherry flat red colour. But yeah, very interesting car, slightly higher mileage than what I bought. And I thought, well, I've already got a toy car, if you like, your weekend car, as you said, Lee. I did need something sensible to keep me sort of, family orientated as well. So yeah, the diesel it was. But like I said, what drew me to it was the spec, the wheels, and just the sheer look of it. I mean, it's a stunning looking car.
I think you raise a good point there, Derek. I think the Panamera is the same as the Cayenne in the sense that it took Porsche a couple of goes to get those cars right in terms of like looks and whatnot. The first gen Cayenne, I mean, I can completely agree, Gen 1 and to an extent mine, it does look a bit, whether the later cars, the later Cayennes are more chiseled, aren't they?
Yeah.
In their appearance. The first, a bit more bulbous, as you say, and I'd also levy that accusation at the Panamera as well. And it always just takes, I think, a couple of bites of the apple for Porsche to get.
They were both ugly ducklings, weren't they?
Absolutely, nailed on. Well, the first Cayenne.
Well, they all look like bloated 996s,
well,
didn't
this
they?
Is it? It follows on in that kind of look and appearance from the 996, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You can wind me up all you like.
But right,
you got the full set now, Lee.
The ugly ducklings, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think everybody's come round to the 996, the way that looks. 20 years later, we're all kind of accepting of it, and I think that's happened with the first gen Cayenne as well. When that first came out, I was like, "What the shit in hell is that? What have they done? It just looks silly." But now it's matured into something that actually looks quite classic now. I don't know how they do that.
Well, no, I remember you when you were talking about a dalliance with Cayennes maybe a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
And you put a picture up on our Redline WhatsApp group and said, I am really liking the look of these, and popped that Gen 1 up.
Yeah.
And for me, I just thought, it's not quite there. But I actually saw one the other day, and I thought it looked sensational in the metal. It's funny how cars age, and we've spoken about before, where new cars, they get older, they look pants, and then almost they come out the other side where you go, oh, that looks like really classic, but still really nice. And I mean, there's plenty out there for sale. Like the Gen 1 Cayennes, I've seen some for like $4,500. Now, obviously, they're $4,500 for a reason. But you go, shit, that was a shitload of cash when they came out.
Yeah,
a shitload of cash, and now you get all of that car for fairly elementary money. Like I say, I'm not saying go and buy a $4,500 Cayenne, but they're out there. So definitely answers the question.
What's your sort of view, Ian, as far as maintenance and costs are concerned? What's you've had 3? Have you been hit by any big bills?
Well, on the 2 newer ones, it's only tyres, which are 300 whatever quid each. So that's the big expense. But
wow.
The first one was the first gen, and I disagree with you on the looks. I liked it when it came out, and I still like it now. But we'll agree to differ on that. But I always thought it was great. But there we go.
You were obviously before time. You knew what was going on.
I was, definitely. I saw the beauty in it. But I mean, that one I bought second hand, and I mean it blew out its coolant pipes on the M40 once because they had plastic cooling pipes.
Oh, so similar score to the 911, 907. Yeah.
So that went in, and it had the aluminium ones done. And I think the only other thing, the PCM unit went, and that was like £1,200 or something to replace a PCM unit. But that was in a main dealer, to be fair. So other than that, it was just, I had it for about 4 or 5 years, did about 40,000 miles in it. It was just maintenance. The suspension didn't go, had air suspension, that was fine. So it was a decent car, to be fair. And as you say, you could probably get into a decent Cayenne, first gen Cayenne turbo for under 10 grand now. It's got to be a decent buy if you're not going to go to a main dealer for servicing, isn't it? Really? I think.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I'd be interested to know what the group thinks of the new Cayenne Turbo GT or whatever thing it is. I'll maybe reserve my own judgment until we see what the consensus is. But
I quite fancy one, I must admit. I don't think I can quite do it, but I have to say I do like the look of it. But I know you're going to go neg on it, aren't you? But, but I'm going to go straight away and gold wheels. I better not walk into a Porsche dealer anytime soon because I could be persuaded. I think.
Wallet's twitching.
Well, there is somebody we know that's got one. I think they've got one of the first ones being delivered, so we might be able to get a closer look at one of those if we're that way inclined.
Wow.
Yeah, I think again Porsche is just looking sideways, aren't they, and seeing Audi doing like the RSQ.
Yeah.
What is their big? Is it the 8 or 7? I think it's 7, isn't it?
It's pretty mean,
7 or whatever it is, and then obviously the Lamborghini Urus. They're looking and going, well, look, there's clearly a market for kind of this sort of thing. There was just, obviously the GT was at Goodwood at the weekend. I managed to get a bit of a look around it last week in the flesh. It does look pretty sensational, but then I quite like that whole kind of Cayenne coupe silhouette anyway. And this is, I think, where we talk about like the evolution of those models.
What's it called? The Cayenne GT?
Sensational. I think, is it Turbo GT?
Turbo GT.
Is that right?
I think they've taken all the different acronyms, put them all in one car.
Yeah.
It's not got enough boot space for the name of the car?
No.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right. I'm just having a look at it. It's 631 bhp. Jesus
Super
Christ.
SUV. Yeah. Give us some stats if you can.
Good gold wheels. You're right, Ian. So would I be right in saying that this has actually gone through the GT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been breathed on by Andrus Preuninger if you read some online.
What do we say?
Journalism.
Production based with a time of...
what's the Nürburgring lap time?
7 minutes 38.9 seconds.
I mean, that is fully outrageous.
Yeah. 3 seconds quicker than the Audi RSQ8. What else can we tell you about it?
Just imagine
186 miles an hour top speed.
It's a pretty quick supermarket.
Pretty quick, isn't it? Yeah. What else? 627 pounds-foot of torque. 631 bhp. I think I've said that already. It's a big old beast, isn't it?
It's properly quick, that. I think that's like 991.1.
Oh, here we go. The old important 0 to 62 is 3.3 seconds. How the hell do you do that?
It's outrageous.
Oh my God, that's outrageous, isn't it? Yeah. How can you move?
So these are all really important things when you're taking the dog to the shops or taking the kids to school, aren't they?
he's just in there, isn't he? He's just in there, totally. So has anybody seen the list price? The starting price
150 grand
is 143,910 is the starting price. Once you spec one of those up, you're probably up getting touching 200 grand, don't you? Once you've got all the bits and bobs on it. My word. Crazy.
I tell you as well, and it goes back, I don't know the stats of how many Cayennes built, but a press release come through today, or yesterday, whenever it was, new Macan has come out. What was the first Macan built? 2013, 2014?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's less than 10 years, quite comfortably. Porsche has produced for worldwide markets 600,000 Macans.
Yeah.
And if you compare that to like 1.1 million 911s over what is very nearly 60 years, I know for years they were hand built, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But again, that is a phenomenal amount of cars, and like the same as the Cayenne, they allow Porsche to invest and develop sports cars like naturally aspirated 992 GT3s that really in this day and age don't make financial sense.
Yeah.
But it kind of allows the company to do that. And I know it's something we've said before on this pod, again, reference the Taycan, is those sorts of cars allows us as enthusiasts to have the seriously fun stuff and the seriously exciting stuff.
You think Porsche were 20 years ahead of the game, really? Because every other manufacturer is now totting out a SUV, aren't they, to support the rest of their business.
Yeah.
Ferrari have got one coming out soon, I believe. Obviously, there's the Nigel wagon from Lamborghini.
Aston have released that. They've released that. What have they called it?
DBX, is it?
DBX. Newish looking ones, and they're floating around.
Yeah. So, Porsche were 20 years ahead of the game, really, weren't they?
Without a doubt.
It's taken this long for everybody to catch up. When are Range Rover going to start making sports cars?
Yeah, I was going to say, who's been doing that? Who's been doing their job a bit longer? Let's see.
Excellent. Absolutely excellent. Is there anything that Ian and Derek would like to add from a consumer point of view? So if there's any listeners kind of listening to this and thinking, it might be the wallet's twitching, might go on Auto Trader, are there like 3 bits of advice you can say, look, before you do anything, this is what you need to consider?
I'll start. Pop into Land Rover on the way.
It's going to cost you a lot. You're going to get a lot of Shell points. Yeah. That's number one.
Yeah. Make sure you get your application in for Shell points. I like that. Yeah. Number one, that's good.
Number 2, get a warranty.
Yeah.
Okay.
And look, I think they're brilliant. So I could just go and do it would be my number 3, I think.
Yeah.
Excellent. Solid and positive as well, to be honest with you. So, very good. Yeah, Derek, can you add to that at all, mate?
Yeah, I was just going to say Green Shield stamps, but I think I'm showing my age now. Definitely I'd go with Ian on the fuel consumption. But saying that, the diesel is actually quite an efficient car. It doesn't drink any more than perhaps the Touareg that I had before, and it's slightly heavier car.
Do you find do you have to drive it like Miss Daisy to get good miles per gallon out of it, or do you just drive it and it gives you the same sort of stuff, however you treat it?
I find the stop-start quite annoying, and I disabled it by activating the sport button, and that automatically gives you the privilege to drive, like a loon, if you like. So, I don't drive it like Miss Daisy. I drive it like a normal car, if you like. It is a heavy car, but it does shift quite well. I'd say, consumption is on par with some of the other cars in the marketplace. Build quality, absolutely amazing. Yes, if you can get a warranty, I'd go with that. My other bit of advice, I think, for anyone's listening, is buy the best you can afford, because that will ultimately save you cash in the long run. So if you can afford to buy a 10 grand car or 15 grand car, bet the best one you can get. But do your homework. I think it's, you guys always talk about due diligence. Make sure that you do your homework, whether you're buying it from an OPC or an independent dealer or even privately. Just have a good look around the car. And if you don't know what you're looking for, take someone with you who does, perhaps someone who's had a car of that type before, because that experience, that knowledge is invaluable when it comes to parting with your money.
Are there any options that either of you have wished you had or are so glad that you have got on your car?
The Cayenne must-have list.
Yeah.
I think the air suspension's great. I've had it on all 3 of mine, and I would definitely always spec the air suspension.
Right.
I think that's just that's definitely there. And the panoramic roof, though, you can't actually fit a dog guard. The Porsche dog guard doesn't fit if you have the panoramic roof, which is a bit of a kind of pain. But the panoramic roof kind of lines it up as well nicely, doesn't it? So those would probably be the 2 I'd go for.
Yeah.
Yeah, likewise. I'd go for the panoramic roof. Have one. Find it a very nice feature. I love the lights. I have the Porsche active system, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I find them really, really bright during night driving. One thing I would choose is on the VW. I had a feature where you waved your foot under the rear bumper. So when you were carrying 2 bags of shopping, and you didn't have free hand to press the key to release your boot, if you like, the VW had this amazing feature where you just waved your foot, and the rear boot would come up.
That is awesome.
And that's one thing that I do miss, and I'm not sure whether that is an option on the Porsche, but it was a fantastic feature because forever you're like, you have to stop, drop your bags, get your key out. You usually press the wrong button anyway. So
and that's funny because we've got that on my wife's XC40, and I've spent so many times just waving my foot like a twat, and it never works. It does my head in. So that's like the option. I don't want it ever again because it's stupid. But obviously, it does work on some other cars. So yeah, if you're buying a Volvo, don't spec it because it's shit.
It doesn't work anyway.
Yeah.
I tell you
one
awesome.
question I've got just before we ditch the Cayenne thing is a seats a thing in Cayennes? Do they come with one seat option, or because obviously it's where you spend all your time, and when you're buying a 911, I'd put a lot of money into seats. Is there sports seats for Cayennes? Is that a thing?
There's I can't remember what it's called, whether it's sports seats or sports seats plus, but I think there's a comfort seat and a sports seat in the new ones.
Granddad seat.
What's the one to go for on those? Are they do you go super comfort? Or is it sport all the way?
Yeah, I think
sports car.
Yeah, we said I think before on this pod it's the same with the Macan as well, and Porsche again lent me a Diesel S with just like the Bogo seats, 0 lateral hold, and again, like you say, Joe, I think a seat choice it's the most important choice. Really, it's when you spend all your time when you're sitting in a car, and even with 911s, I see not a lot of 911s, 991s with an awesome spec and just with a crap seating, and it really does make all the difference to the drive. I think with the Cayenne and Macan as well, it's not to be overlooked. Cracking.
Cool.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, thank you for your opinions,
Derek,
guys.
Yeah, really appreciate your time and coming on this evening and giving, like say, some proper consumer advice for the Cayenne. Hopefully it'll be useful to people listening at home, so thank you.
Thank you for the invite. It's been a pleasure. I feel like I know you guys through, following Road to Redline. I know all about your cars. So it's a real pleasure meeting you and having a chinwag.
Excellent.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on.
Cool.
Likewise, thanks, guys. Cheers.
Nice one.
Good.
Cheers, both. Catch you both soon, all right?
So
cool.
often.
Right, so just do a little link then, shall we?
Yeah.
To, link in our favourite technician.
Cool.
It'll be along in a minute, Scott. Quality, mate.
Do we want to do a little thing about you starting up your new company?
It's Scott's now Scott from Barnsport, surely, not just Scott the technician.
No,
absolutely.
Barnsport, baby.
So should we
you better tell us
dive
about
in there?
Barnsport, hadn't you? So what's Barnsport?
So Barnsport set up a new company, modern Porsche specialist, about 2.5 months ago now. Gone out on my own with a business partner called James. He's ex-main dealer Porsche. And he's also did a stint out in Dubai with Porsche Technical. And we're a modern Porsche specialist. We'll do everything and anything. Currently traded mobile, but we have a premises just around the corner coming very, very soon over in Blandford. So look forward to getting new digs and set up and properly get going.
Excellent.
So a couple of months in, have you got a list of customers as long as your arm already, or are you scratching around for work?
No, so we're flat out at the moment. So we've got about a 3-week lead time. Absolutely overwhelming just how fast it's taken off, really. Never in a million years did I think it'd be this successful this quickly. So hopefully just long may it continue.
Fantastic, mate. Yeah, and very best wishes to you guys from us at
you.
Road to Redline, because we know you both, and we rate you, so spot on that. We also know that you've got a Cayenne, and
yes,
the reason I know that is because it's got possibly the biggest sign
down
the side I've ever seen in my life. Like, what size font is that for a start?
Can I save you a bit of time though, Lee, before we go any further?
Yeah.
You need to talk to Scott now and get that booking in for your first thing in 3 weeks' time. Get it in now before he books anything while we're talking.
I was obviously, just
being pleasant.
Just giving my best wishes there, Scott, mate.
So can you get that booking in? Now we can carry on. Sorry.
I'll pencil one in.
Yeah.
Scott, don't you do a monthly drop in for Cayennes? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
I can't comment because I'm in one, but no comment.
Go on then, Scotty. Like, first of all, it'd be nice to know Cayenne-wise what you've got, how long you've had it, and whatnot. But then, also, are they doom and gloom, or are they?
Italy.
Yeah. Go like a rabbit's nose here, but yeah.
So I've got a 2012 Cayenne 3-litre diesel. I've had it pretty much bang on a year now because my insurance is just pinged up to say it's due. Best decision I think I ever made getting one, if I'm completely honest with you. Completely love it. It ticks all the boxes from a practicality and family point of view. Touch wood, mine's been good as gold and I've not had an issue with it in the last 12 months. So it's the pre-facelift for the E2 generation. I love it. Absolutely love it. I would highly rate them and recommend them to anyone.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on.
How about Gen 1s?
Well, look at him.
I don't even know what. Is yours a diesel?
Mine's a 3-litre TDI, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So you've got the right one.
Ooh. Yes. Level
Bonus.
1 passed.
Yeah.
Tick. But no, the Gen 2 E1 generation, they ironed out a lot of the teething problems with the facelift, and especially being a diesel generation, you've got a bomb-proof engine. So goodbye in my opinion.
I did read regards to the petrol engine V6 and V8, and you obviously mentioned, Scott, as well, that they can suffer with like a couple of problems with the liners.
Yeah. So V8 suffer with the liners. V6 is perhaps not so much. But yeah, early V8s can suffer with the liners and tappets and various bits and pieces. I know quite a few that have had rebuilds with short blocks and bits and pieces done on it. But generally, though, it's a small percentage. It's similar to sort of the whole IMS scoreboard situation with 997. It's a small percentage, and it's that small percentage that gets highlighted and then flagged as being a common sort of trend. But I rate a Gen 1 Cayenne. I really, really do. My dad's got a Gen 1 Cayenne V8 with a manual gearbox. Really, really rare.
Proper job and
rare.
He's a man.
He's a brave man.
He's a brave man.
But no, he loves it, and they're good bits of kit.
So Scott, I want you to tell us give us the top 3 things that are most likely to fall off Lee's car in the near future.
Lee's car. Oh,
to be fair, that's a fantastic question. Only 3 as well. Only 3.
I'm limiting it. I'm being kind. Only 3.
Have you got a panoramic roof on it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is
he going to get this? He's going to get the silicons. No, I know what you can do. You can get the vinyl, wrap it, can't you, with the kitchen vinyl?
I've already been to B&Q, mate. They've got a Premier roll coming in for me.
Do they leak like a bastard?
They don't leak. It's more
just don't use them.
The sliders can, well, if you don't use it, the sliders are going to seize up and make horrible graunching noises.
Yeah.
Roof drains, make sure those roof drains on that panoramic roof are regularly cleared out so they don't back up and then cause water ingress.
Yeah.
God, what are the 2 things? Do you know what? I don't think anything's going to fall off it. I'm quite...
Scott, that's no fun at all. Come on.
I know it's no fun.
made from a bit of granite.
Up Joe Williams.
They're good cars. The early diesels do leak oil a little bit. They do suffer with a few oil leaks, but it's only... I think Porsche, when they released the diesel, they brought out a technical bulletin, and I think the wording was something like oil sweating was acceptable. So it's almost like they knew that they're going to weep a little bit, but it's acceptable. It's a characteristic. But they're good cars. They're good cars.
The engines in the Cayennes, are they related to the VW group engines, or are they total Porsche design? What's the score?
The 3-litre TDI is basically a VAG group engine, and it's found in all the Audis and same as the VW Touareg.
Yeah.
It's a group engine, which, if anything, is a bit of a positive because it shows how reliable they are. There's nothing really common on those engines that fail with a trend. They're good lumps. Yeah, they just keep on chugging on.
Okay. Good.
Absolutely.
Sounds like you've
awesome,
done all right
to be
then.
fair. Yeah, no, happy days. Yeah,
Phew!
sweating no more on that. What are there any other pointers? Like, first of all, for the Mark Ones, because we've kind of discussed off air that they, you can pick one up for $5,000 now if you balls of steel. So anything on that, but then also you raise a great point about the 958, which I think is the one you've got, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're phenomenal value for money now. Because the build quality on them is exceptional, but again, from a technical point of view, it'd be nice, before people are hammering Auto Trader or whatever. Is there anything that you should say? Well, look, stop and just consider this.
Yeah, I think with the E1, the first generation Cayennes, is like you say, the price point of them, they're so affordable now, and that's a good thing because it's easy to get into one. But then you still need to have deep pockets to maintain them. Parts are still fairly expensive.
Some of it's probably been neglected, I'd imagine.
Exactly. So people buy them thinking, that's a really nice cheap car, but then perhaps neglect on the maintenance side. So E1 Cayennes, they suffer with, coil packs fail, causing misfires, water pumps on the V8s, cardan shafts. There's the central bearing on the centre prop shaft that's rubber, and that fails, and you can get a bit of a knocking noise sometimes from underneath the center console, so that's quite common. Other little bits and pieces like rear tailpipe clamps, for example, they crack and split and cause tailpipes to be loose. But it's all just little things, Sometimes if you've got one spec'd with air suspension, you can have compressor problems and stop the air suspension from operating as it should. And then likewise, I've seen fairly recently on some of the turbos and the V8s with air suspension, airbag leaks and can cause the suspension to sort of sag and drop on one side. And that's an expensive repair if that needs doing.
Okay. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm fairly buoyed by the fact that, Scott, you're not coming on and saying, whatever you do, avoid this model. Or whatever. It's fairly, positive, resoundingly positive.
They're good. I think they're good cars. I mean, they get a lot of stick, but again, I only see all of the problems and faults with them. But I'm only seeing a very small percentage of them that are actually suffering with those issues. There's the big thing probably on the Cayenne is the red script of death on the instrument cluster on the Gen 1s. Not facelift. This is just pre-facelift cars. And they suffer with the steering lock failure in red coming on, and then that can be big money into all the control units, and it's basically a mobilizer failure. That can get expensive, and it almost writes the value of the car off if that was to happen. So that things like that can sometimes be a bit of a ticking time bomb, but it is a risk.
What about the drivetrain, Scott?
Yeah, again, all pretty good, to be honest. There's nothing really common that they suffer with and are weak on. All the gearboxes are all good. Make sure you get the gearbox oil service done. Suspension-wise is all good. Every now and again, we've done a couple of rear drop links. They sometimes suffer with a rear drop link play in one of the ball joints. But on a whole, they're fantastic. They really are. Going forward onto the facelift Cayenne for the Generation 1, so the one like you've bought, I would have worried if you got a V8 because the first gen DFI engines, they suffered with high pressure fuel pumps failing and bits like that. And again, it's just a costly exercise to replace it and sort out.
Do they suffer with carbon buildup, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, they do, but it doesn't affect the running of it as such.
Okay.
So you do get a bit of carbon buildup on the back of the valves, but it doesn't stop them seating properly, and they still run fine.
Okay.
But yeah, when you ever have had an intake manifold off one, you look in there, they heavily coke up. But at the moment, I've not seen one with that's caused running issues because of it.
Yeah, so it's not like the Audi V8 in the R8 and the RS4 and stuff like that. That suffers real problems with coking up and bad running, but you don't get that with the Cayenne. You do get it, and there's machines out there. There's a walnut blaster, which is crushed walnut shells that just cleans the back of it all in situ. But I've yet to do one, and I've not seen one that's caused any issues. So I don't think it's a real massive concern at the moment. Cool.
Spot on. I think that's some stellar technical advice, Scotty G.
You can cancel that booking then for 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll just after this chat, I'll just drop you a little note about this this little knocking I've got. Yeah, a little knocking noise. I'm joking. Hopefully, anyway. No,
Lee, did you buy any sort of warranty for your car, or are you going at it alone?
No, I've got like a dealer warranty for 3 months. So I think, after that, I'd be quite wise. I think listening to the chaps just now as well, take up Ian and Derek's advice to just get a warranty, just look after. Because as you say, they're fairly economical, cheap to buy. But as with any Porsche, it's a Porsche to run, isn't it? So
yeah, it is. Scott, is that something you've looked at yet? Is there any independent warranties that you point people towards?
No, so
not really.
I've had a few customers inquire about, what I'd advise and recommend, but I'm yet to have any experience with any sort of third-party warranty, so I couldn't really comment as to, or advise which direction to steer in. But there's so many out there now that it's a bit daunting sometimes. You can get a bit lost quite easily. But no, I'm yet to experience what good and bad is in that sort of side of things.
Yeah,
you are the warranty.
Yeah.
I've just picked up Lee's key and just noticed the cheesy sort of headlight shape that's on the front of the key. It looks like, it just looks like a 996 that's been squashed and
that's what I mean. I think
blobbed out.
Everyone hates these headlights. Let's put it on the key so they can see that as well. Because the normal rhetoric is you can't see the headlights when you're behind the wheel. And they're like, well, actually, you can. It's on your key, mate.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Although, to be fair, I personally think the Gen 1 Cayennes are aging quite gracefully.
I do, yeah.
If you see a Cayenne Turbo now, a 2005 Cayenne Turbo with an aero kit on the road out in the wild, I can't help but look at it and think, that looks cool.
I like the look of just like a base spec with like teeny wheels and fat tyres on. No
agricultural spec.
Yeah. No spoilers and stuff. It's all really smooth and kind of blobby, but it just works.
I feel like they are maturing gracefully. Like I say, I think they look better in the flesh than they do in some pictures.
Oh yeah.
But
for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt, which is great. Great news all round because there's plenty out there.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you very much, Scott, for your views on Cayenne ownership.
Yes, nice one, Scott. And we shall look forward to visiting Barnsport. Hopefully, just for a cup of tea, admittedly, and not like a
rebuild.
A rebuild. Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah.
I'll make sure the kettle's on.
Spot on, my man. Yeah. Best of luck with the Barnsport stuff as well.
Brilliant.
All right. Cool.
Definitely.
Well, Andy, while you got the key in your hand,
why
don't you take it for a spin?
All right. Let's do it.
Quality.
Let's see what this key fires up.
It's a key to your heart, mate. Yeah, let's give it a go.
Cool. Right, we're in a Cayenne.
Yes, mate. First things first. Let's open the panoramic roof that Scott was going nuts about. I think.
It's not working.
First. Yeah, there we go.
Got to turn it on. She goes.
Probably not going to work now, is it? There
it's working.
It goes back forever. Like it's
it does, doesn't it?
Pretty bloody decent. Not bad.
It's a nice panoramic roof, that.
It's one of them, isn't it? Do you want me to hold that, or are you grand? Or
yeah, I'm good.
Right. Yeah, it's one of those things when you buy an older car, an added toy like that is just something else to go wrong. So I am wary of it, and it is a little bit kind of creaky when the roof's closed.
Yeah. Maybe we'll bung some WD on that.
Yes, exactly. A bit of grease. There is no air suspension on this, so the guys just now were saying that's something they'd go for. This doesn't have that. And
keeps it simple.
Yeah. It's
less repair bill
to go wrong. But I do notice as a result, the ride is it's not firm, but it's not like a magic carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, mate, I think,
looks nice inside.
There you go. Well, it's an 09, so I kind of assimilate it to like 911 production years, 997.2.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's got the PCM3.
It looks very familiar, doesn't it?
On that, yeah, and just like I say, overall build quality, I'm coming from 996. I think you'll probably be used to it, mate, with 993. It's superior build quality, but it just seems really well screwed together.
Yeah.
Nothing
squeaks.
Not yet.
Right, let's go for a ride.
Go for it, mate.
Drive. Where's the handbrake on this then?
So it's
the foot?
It's by your right knee.
Oh my word! Right knee.
Yeah, pull the handle by your right knee.
Jeez. Well, how do you put it back on, just in case we need it?
You then kick. Using your left leg, you kick on the left.
Oh, on that one there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like weird.
Proper like US spec.
Yeah, I was trying to.
Me of driving like trucks in the States.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right, let's do it.
Cool.
Sounds nice.
It's just, I think it's smooth, you know.
Yeah.
There's a whole, like, engine and gearbox. There's Tiptronic gearbox. I know that Porsche on the Cayenne was using the Tiptronic gearbox for a long, long time. I'm not sure if they are still Tiptronic or PDK. There might still be tippers. It's just
It'll be just a standard type gearbox, won't it? It won't be PDK because it's for the towing.
Oh, right,
So
okay.
PDK is no good for. I think you have PDK on the Macans, but not on the Cayennes.
Did not know that. Fair
Yeah.
play. Mr. Technical.
Yeah,
That'd
and
be
that's
why.
because of the towing capacity of a Cayenne is
Yeah.
much higher than a Macan.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
play.
Yeah, I've got to say, feels nice initial. All right, get your speeding ticket. Oh, it goes along nicely.
Yes, doesn't it? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I put it in sport. I don't know what sport does. There's no discernible difference to me.
No, there's no.
Maybe it just makes your balls grow a little bit.
Yeah, Phil. So, what have you done this week in it? Have you been far?
Just back from London, where I got the car, and like a few poodles around town.
Yeah.
A couple of specialists have advised to kind of limit short journeys.
Yeah.
Maybe that kind of ties in with the coking you were mentioning earlier. I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't think that applies to the diesel.
okay.
It's only the direct injection
Okay.
engines that have that issue.
So yeah, it's just kind of about town, I think, really. Yeah, I've stuck 40 quid in it, which got just over a quarter of a tank,
Yeah.
and it's doing okay so far, I think. Had the dog in the back, which is good, and actually it was quite funny because it's got the electric tailgate, so you put the dog in the back.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't like it, so he immediately wants to jump out, and you're trying to hold him in while this tailgate is coming down, and then trying to duck out the way. But it's got the like hatch tailgate as well.
Yes.
So
Oh,
at
okay.
the
So you-
moment we're just dumping him in via the screen. Do you know what
Chucking
I
him
mean?
in, brilliant.
Yeah.
I like the old hatch tailgate. I used to have that in an old BMW 5 Series I had.
Yeah.
I quite like that you don't always have to open the hole.
Yeah, highly practical for tracking shots, car-to-car tracking shots for
Oh,
photography
yes,
and videography
absolutely.
as well, so that's a decent factor.
Yeah, it feels nice, mate.
Yeah, it's all right,
think
mate,
it's all,
innit?
all good. It feels tight.
The PTM, Porsche Traction Management, or four-wheel drive system on the car as well, was then used on the 997 Turbo.
Yeah.
So there's a
Well,
admittedly pretty
it
shallow link
shifts
to the
in sport.
911. Do you
Quite-
feel a bit of a difference? I don't really feel too
Well,
much, to be
it-
honest with you.
I think that what they do is they just sharpen up throttle
Yeah.
response.
Yeah.
So when you hit the throttle, it does stuff a bit quicker. That's probably the only
Yeah.
difference. But it does feel quite peppy. You know, when you think, if you were to think, oh, what Cayenne should I buy?
Yeah.
If I buy the 3-litre diesel, I'm probably going for the economical one that's going to be a bit sort of not sluggish, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't think it was going to be peppy, and this
No.
definitely feels pretty peppy. So
Yeah, I think it's 240 horsepower.
Is it?
Which,
Yeah.
Obviously doesn't sound like a lot in kind of Porsche world, particularly given the weight as well. It's
Yeah.
like 2 tons or whatever.
no, it all feels good. We're really in Range Rover country round here, aren't we?
Now, yeah, Chelsea by the Sea is what they call it.
Yeah, we're just heading down onto Sandbanks right now, and there's at every moment there's a bloody Range Rover and lots of red people. Oh my
Lots
God,
of
there's some
red
bare
people,
chests
yeah,
there.
Jesus
Lovely.
Christ.
Jesus, look at that. It's what time is it? It's 10
past 9.
past 9, and I have never seen so many paddle boarders.
No, that is absolutely bonkers.
There must be, oh my God, 80, 90 paddle boarders out in
On the
on the
peninsula.
bay right now. Amazing. What a great summer's night.
Bonkers. It's a beautiful summer's night. What do you think of the ride then?
Yeah, it's, as you said, it's not magic carpet, is it?
Yeah.
But how old are the tyres?
3 years at the front, 4
3.
years at the back.
Okay.
About
Because I always think
most.
that tyres makes a big difference to ride.
Yeah, without a doubt. Actually, that's another quick consumer point as well, is obviously the paperwork will give you some indication as to what sort of money has been spent on the car. And it's the same as with 911s, I like to look at the tyres.
Yeah.
Because if you've got mismatched tyres and or budget tyres, it gives you some indication as to the owner's mentality.
Absolutely,
in regards to how much they think they should spend on a car. I mean, for example, one Cayenne I looked at had 4 different tyres. One of them was called Land Sail.
Oh my God!
Yes, I know the irony as
well. A real Chinese shit tyre, that is.
Proper Chinese spec. So, always worth having a quick check for that, just to kind of gauge what sort of attention to detail I think has been given by the owner.
Yeah, sport modes does feel very throttle sensitive.
Right, okay.
I'd say.
I'll whack it off then.
Yeah. Yeah, without sport mode on, it feels more soft, and so I guess it does the desired thing.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the microphone's picking up a couple of like creaks from the roof. The roof is open at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, a couple of little creaks there, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's another Cayenne there. Look at that.
Very good.
Is that
very good.
That's the same one that Scott's got.
The same one that Scott's got. Yeah, it's a 958. Which again, you can pick them up now if you're brave enough from 15 grand.
Yeah. There's a few Cayennes along here. Oh, as I take out the bollards.
It's an admirable job of doing a road test by holding a microphone, Andy Brooks. Lovely jubbly.
I go up this road here. This is a nice bumpy road, this one.
Okay. So is this the bit where things fall off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Why is it buzzing, Lee?
There's parking sensors.
Ah, okay.
But you're all good.
Tell you what, it's good for palming.
Yeah, 100%.
I love a bit of palming. Have you ever thought about getting one of those steering wheel knobs put on a car?
Quality. For a bit of wash on, wash off.
Yeah.
Go around the corners. Quality. Yeah. I think like a garish chrome number just to really highlight bell end status.
Nice. I better put some lights on down here. So what other bells and whistles? Yeah, it's got a good bit of bump there, isn't there?
Yeah, you feel it. Again, it's a world away from my 996.
Yes, absolutely.
What toys has it got? Heated seats. My wife stitched me up earlier on. I think today was the hottest day of the year. On the way to yours, I was like, Ben and I just played football as well. I was like absolutely sweating there. And I checked, and she had the seat on.
Cheeky girl.
It was enough to like cause a sweat, but not enough to notice for like the first 5 minutes of the drive. So yeah, cheers, Mrs. S. So got that heated adaptive memory seats, which again is good because when Laura drives, she can plug in her setup, and I can change that vice versa.
I did nearly get propelled into the windscreen when I got in the car first off.
Oh no, look
at that cheeky Jeep.
Yeah, look at that. That's quality with the doors off as well.
Nice.
That is proper legend spec.
Right, let's give it a bit of... It sounds nice.
It sounds decent, yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, there's a lot of diesels that sound gruff, but I don't know, just sound diesely still. This doesn't really sound diesely at all.
No, it's kind of the first time I've like really heard that. I've always thought it's quite muted, but then it would be because it's a Derv.
Yeah.
But yeah, that did sound quite nice there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
And it picks up its skirt and pops along quite nicely.
It definitely does.
Gearbox is nice. It's quite responsive.
Yeah.
Interesting actually, because my wife's XC40 has got the 8-speed ZF box.
Okay.
And I drove one of the old XC60s that's got I think it's a 5-speed or 6-speed auto box. And the difference in that was that it felt really like an older car.
Really, yeah.
Even though it was a new car, but it just had an old type of gearbox in it. Which was probably a similar gearbox to this one.
Yeah.
But this feels pretty smooth actually and responsive.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think again, like in terms of 911, you think Tiptronic gearbox, quite an old-fashioned agricultural box, but I think it's kind of surprising, really. It's quite. It feels quite livable. So, yeah.
No, I think you just need to get them big tyres on it, mate. That'll sort the ride out.
100%.
Will decrease your fuel consumption to about half of what it is at the moment. But you're not going to notice that.
No.
And you're going to look badass.
Badass, yeah, the big boy tyres.
Yeah.
No, I'm pleased with that, mate.
I had the big boy tyres on an old Jeep Wrangler. I had one of the JKs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the big 4-seater ones.
Yeah.
And that had a 2-inch suspension raise on it.
Wicked.
And like big bull bars and all that sort of stuff. And it had, what were they? I think BF Goodrich all-terrainers on there. And man, those things used to hum when you went along the road.
What's a road noise like?
Yeah, it was just humming.
Yeah, Wasp was constantly following me.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they look good, but when it comes to it, do you actually really want it?
Yeah.
But no, I'm impressed, mate.
Colin,
looks
mate,
good.
thank you.
Feels good.
Dankeschön.
I think you've done all right.
Let's get back inside before anything falls off.
Well, it sounds like Lee hasn't bought a lemon then.
It does, doesn't it?
Also, possibly more miraculously than that, we have done a whole episode where we've not mentioned 911s at all.
Wow.
So I think with that in mind, it's probably time to call it a day for the series.
Yeah, this is the last episode of the series.
Yeah.
We're going to take a couple of weeks off.
The next series can be called Road to Cayenne, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, off road to Redline, I think. So yeah, 100%. But we'll be back in series. What's that? 5?
Series 5. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Household names in this podcast sphere, by the sounds of it. But so we'll be back with some awesome guests and hopefully some awesome content as well. Thanks as always for listening. I think we need to say a big thanks to our Patreons.
Yes, absolutely.
For supporting us all the way. And to be honest, if you do find the time to just leave us a little review and a 5 stars on your preferred podcast platform, that would really help us out just to boost the ego, I think, more than anything. So. No, but we like the feedback in any case. It's tell us what you like and tell us where we can, tell us where we're going wrong and where we can do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we look forward to making an even better podcast for Series 5.
Perfect.
Cracking. Cheers, boys.
Au revoir.
See you later.
This episode was brought to you by our very kind Patreons. If you enjoy the podcast and would like to join them in supporting us, you can do so at www.patreon.com/Road to Redline.